we're basically today going to be comparing a mid-range to a flagship. So let's cue that roll and jump right in. Hey, what's up guys, Tito here, and so right in front of me we have the LG X Power and we have the Huawei Honor 8. Both devices, pretty good option for pickups. However, in this video we're going to take a mid-ranger like the X Power and we're going to have it go up against a flagship, the Huawei Honor 8. So keep in mind here, we're looking at performance. And at the end of the day, it's not really to say which phone is better, but technically to show you guys that there are some mid-rangers that can hang with flagship devices. And that's really what all this video is going to be about. So let's take a look at the LG X Power and kind of talk about its specs a little bit, which is, to some people is important. So the X Power, basically, for the processing chip, it has a MediaTek 6755 octa-core processor. It's got 2 gigabytes of RAM, 16 gigs of onboard storage. Okay. The cameras on the device is an 8 megapixel camera in the rear and a 5 megapixel camera up front. It does not have USB Type-C, but rather utilizes micro USB, but has quick charge 2.0. The entire device is solidly built of plastic. Then it has some of LG's neat features inside, like the double tap to wake screen and whatnot. Audio jack at the bottom, which is subjective to how people like this device. Nevertheless, I think this is probably one of the top major mid-rangers that came out in 2016 and is still relevant today in 2017. Pretty good option to pick up if you're in the market for it. So here right now we have the Huawei Honor 8. Now this is Huawei's flagship device for 2016. Couple of things to duly note about this device spec wise is that the processing chip is the high silicon Kirin 950. It's an octa-core processor that I believe is clocked at 2.3 gigahertz. It has 4 gigabytes of RAM, and this particular model has 32 gigs of onboard storage. It's got a battery capacity of 3000 milliamps. The front-facing cameras basically is 8 megapixels. The rear cameras are 12 megapixel and they're dual cameras on the back. So that's something that you might find a little bit different than the X Power. Of course, you got bottom firing speakers, micro USB Type-C, and there is a fingerprint reader. As you guys can see, the dual cameras there. It also has dual tone LED flash. So the cameras on this is actually really good. And like I said, has a fingerprint reader. So that's something that some people may find likely, to say that it's top notch on security, biometric reading. The display, I believe, is a 5.2 inch display, so slightly smaller than the X Power, but nothing that I would definitely say would be a hindrance. So now that we got basically the specs out of the way for these two devices, we're going to jump right into some tests. So let us first take a look at the cameras, and we're going to look at the cameras on the Honor 8, and my test subject is my daughter's cupcake toy, where we're going to take a series of shots to just show you the differences between cameras. And so you see here, we're going to put the cupcake into focus, take a couple of pictures, and I'm going to show you guys how the picture quality looks. So the picture quality on the Honor 8 is not bad at all. But again, this is a flagship device, right? So a lot of things has to be on point to be considered and classified a flagship. So even like if I was to bring the camera lower and have the camera in wide angle mode, you get some pretty good shots where if you look at the photos, especially the one of it on the table straight directly across, the the cupcake is the center focus. Now, at times with a lot of background, it can create or auto create the bokeh effect. That happens from time to time, and if you guys see my pictures like on Instagram and whatnot, you guys will see it. Here, it doesn't really kind of do that, but this is just one of those things where you have to play around with the camera to really kind of get that feature going. So, yeah, those are some of the pictures from the Honor 8. Now we're going to grab the X Power and take pictures from the same angle and kind of show you guys what you get with an 8 megapixel camera on a mid-ranger such as the X Power. So here's the photos right now, and while, you know, if you really were to compare the quality, the image qualities between both, of course the Honor 8's cameras is going to do pretty well. With that dual camera in the back, basically help to making the shots look a lot better. Let's kind of look at it from a different point of view. Now the picture right here, the cupcake is visible. Colors is not completely accurate when you compare them side by side. And there is a slight kind of a wash effect to the photos on the X Power. However, one thing that I will say that you don't get is that god-awful graininess look, which is not present in the X Power's photos. So cameras, yes, it's not going to be completely up there with the Honor 8. But if you're going to take photos, and this is a low lighting situation, by the way, indoor, it's going to handle okay. So now we're going to go ahead and compare basically the speeds with the processing chips from a mid-ranger to a flagship, and just kind of show you exactly how speedy or snappy they are. So at this point, just kick back and watch. So basically, as you guys can see it, the X Power handled very well keeping up with a flagship like the Honor 8. And maybe compared to even bigger flagship like the S7 Edge, it may be just a little bit behind. But the one thing that you got to admit though, is that mid-rangers are starting to be able to not only just keep up with flagships, but some mid-rangers are able to actually surpass a flagship. It just depends on what you're comparing it to. But in this case, the X Power, in my opinion, did very well keeping up with the Honor 8, considering the fact that it had half the internal storage and half the RAM. So if you guys enjoyed my video, smash that like button, click that subscribe button and the bell option to know when I upload a video. As always, mahalo for checking this video out, and aloha till next time. Bye.